This is Martin Giles of the Guildford Dragon News, and today I'm with Sarah Gobran of the Guildford Shakespeare Company. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for giving your time today to be interviewed. I'm sure a lot of our readers will be interested to know about the Guildford Shakespeare Company or more about the Guildford Shakespeare Company. So tell us a bit about the company, how it started and how you became involved.
Well, I essentially set it up with Matt. Guildford Shakespeare Company was my idea. Matt and I were two jobbing actors at the time, and I was, 15 years ago, I was auditioning for a lot of open air theatre. And as I was auditioning, I thought, gosh, it's a bit strange that somewhere like Guildford doesn't have an open air theatre company, you know, doing Shakespeare. It feels like it would fit in very well in Guildford, you know, people watching a bit of Shakespeare in the castle grounds. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought, if someone else sets this up, then I'm going to be a bit cross about it. So I went to Matt and said, look, I think I want to produce a Shakespeare play in the castle grounds. Will you help me? And he said, yeah, I will, but I don't want to stop being an actor. So I'll do it for you, with you for 1 year.
And here you are. How many years did you say? 16?
Well, if it was started thinking about it 15 years ago,
Right.
so this would have been our 15th summer, so we're in our 14th year at the moment.
Okay. And do you do any other acting jobs apart from the company?
Not anymore. When we first started, both Matt and I carried on as jobbing actors, but as time went on, I mean, this is a full-time job and a half, really, so right. It's all about Guildford Shakespeare Company now.
Okay, and are you a Guildford girl?
I moved to Guildford in '95 to go to Guildford School of Acting, but previously I was brought up in Buckinghamshire.
All right, okay. And what about Matt? Where's he from?
He's from Worcester.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. But did he go to the Guildford School of Acting?
No, he went to a place called Bretton Hall in Leeds that sadly is no more, but is sort of the legend of people like the League of Gentlemen. So Matt went there.
Right. Now, there seems to be, as far as I can tell, a lot of support and affection for the Guildford Shakespeare Company. Do you feel that?
Oh, massively. It's one of our big mandates to keep going, to be honest with you, Martin. Our supporters are so loyal to us and so championing. And you feel it when you do the shows. We get amazing feedback from them. But also, I think during this really strange 4 or 5 months, I've lost count, we've had so many nice messages, and over these months we have been producing bits of work. So we've done a couple of murder mysteries via Zoom, and we've done The Wind in the Willows via Zoom, and we've carried on with our classes, and the feedback that we've had from our audience is saying, keep going. We're amazed by how you continue to find new ways of creating, and we're all rooting for you. It keeps you going.
Okay, we're going to look at how you're getting on in the COVID pandemic in a minute, but before that, the standard of production and acting you maintain is high. I mean, it's not just me saying that. I mean, that is what generally the comments I see that say that. How do you manage that? Because you have got limited resources.
we do have limited resources. I mean, we do pay what is equity minimum, so we are paying proper salaries. We advertise jobs on a site that's called Spotlight that all agents subscribe to and then submit their actors there. What we try and do when we're casting is try and get some people who've worked for us before and some new people, so that we constantly regenerate the pool and get new, interesting, exciting people in. But we also have a loyalty and an audience following for some of those actors that they enjoy working with. And I think our work isn't perhaps for every actor. Sometimes you're being rained on. Sometimes you've got a dressing room in the corner of a dusty church. No offence to the churches that we use. But so, you know, it might not have the glamour of some theatre jobs, but it does mean that the actors that come and work for us really want to work for us. They like the quality of the work, they like being involved in the ensemble, and I like to think we treat them like they're our family, so they tend to like coming back, and I think that attracts talent.
Okay, and do you have a high turnover, or is it, do you have a sort of core team, or how does it work?
Well, like I say, it's always nice to invite people back, and I would say we've got a core team of people. I wouldn't know of how many. In a normal year, we tend to employ about 130 freelancers. So some of those are new, and some have been working for us for years and years.
Okay, and you and Matt nearly always seem to take apart yourselves.
We do, not always, but where we can, we do. Certainly in the summer we do, because that feels like that's where we started. And also I think it's a good precedent for the producers to also be rained on.
Right.
But yeah, because we started as actors, where we can, we like to be in the shows.
Okay, and presumably, you know, you are actors, so you like it. You like the audience.
Yeah, we love acting. We love it. I mean, there's not always a part for us, and so you have to accept that. But yeah, no, it's good.
Okay, and do you? I mean, my impression is that there are more people who want to be actors than there are acting roles.
Absolutely.
So there is some competition for the.
Yeah, I would say we normally. Well, we sort of have between 5 and 10 people in a cast. So at any one time, the maximum number of roles we'd be looking for is about 8 in a show, if Matt and I are in it, and we can have up to about 2,000 applications for those 8 roles.
Oh, really? Mm. Wow. And
tough,
how do you sort
tough
those?
Business. Yeah.
How do you sort those out?
Well, I have a very trusty casting assistant, Indiana, who's absolutely brilliant. And together we wade our way through all the CVs. We do make sure that we look at everyone, because I believe if people have made the effort to submit themselves, then we absolutely look at the CVs and we take our time and narrow it down, and then generally audition about 50 or 60 people.
Okay, well, that's I don't think people realise all that goes on behind the scenes.
No, probably not.
No. Well, and I'm sure there are loads of other activities. Like any job, once you get into it, there's far more to it than you realise. But let's look at the COVID pandemic then, because obviously that's hit the whole entertainment industry hard, but perhaps theatre companies most of all, because of the physical constraints you work under and the audience has to be under. Then it's very tricky to put on productions at the moment. How are you managing to survive?
Well, like I say, we've done a few productions via Zoom. So we started putting our classes online via Zoom, and Matt created a brilliant programme of work called At Home with GSC, and loads of actors who've worked with us all recorded themselves saying a sonnet or a monologue, and lots of the creatives that we've worked with over the years, they did a podcast with Matt. So that allowed us to generate instantly loads of free online content just to keep our name out there. And then while all of that was generating, our brains were buzzing with how do we do something and earn money? You know, how do we pay for this? So we thought about doing shows via Zoom, because you can create amazing, as you've got, virtual backdrops, and some of them move, you know, so you can have films behind you while you're So we trialled it with a murder mystery, and what was great about the murder mystery is that it's very interactive for the audiences. So groups of friends, especially when it was in the height of lockdown and isolation, groups of friends in their own homes could all come together, be part of our murder mystery. They'd all get divided out into different breakout rooms and interrogate the suspects. So because that went really well, we then spoke to Tom Littler, who is the artistic director of German Street Theatre, who had directed our production of The Wind in the Willows in 2015 that we did at Watts Gallery. And we said to him, look, we're thinking about doing this via Zoom. What do you think? And together we came up with the premise that we needed to include a reason as to why we were performing via Zoom in terms of the storytelling. So we imagined that all the animals were at court, but in a Zoom context, reminiscing. And we managed to produce a Zoom production of The Wind in the Willows, and it worked really well.
Okay, so what about your continuing overhead? You must have quite a few.
We do. Obviously, the furlough scheme has helped us enormously. Yeah. So staff have been put on furlough, and that has helped. Bits of funding have come through to help us, and the reserves that we've already had in the bank. We also, at the beginning of lockdown, there was an Arts Council application, and we applied for funding, and we managed to get £35,000 through that. So that has managed to sustain paying our overheads.
Rent?
A lot. Well, luckily we're on a year's rent free because we just moved into a property, although we had just spent an awful lot of money doing the property up. So it swings and roundabouts. But yeah, we're managing.
The council are your landlords, are they?
Yes.
Oh, so they have been supportive in that case?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, that's good. Now, are you optimistic that the company will be able to survive the pandemic?
Yes, I am. I mean, it's going to be hard, don't get me wrong, but which is why we've constantly been working hard to work out how we change what we do via Zoom or online or whatever the different formats are, or these events that we'll talk about in a minute, coming up at the end of August. With tight budgeting, I've done a lot of cash flow charts with the chair of our trustees over the last few months. I feel confident we'll survive. I mean, it will be by the skin of our teeth, but we
really are a Jill of all trades there, aren't you? I don't mean that disparaging. I mean, it's, not many I don't think you talk to many actors and they say, oh yeah, I've been busy on the cash flow spreadsheet.
No, I quite like a spreadsheet, actually. Budgeting is something I enjoy, bizarrely. Matt and I set up the company as actors, and it was a sharp and awakening, Martin. We've learned a lot of business skills over the years that have almost entirely been self-taught. So yeah,
there must be a play there, I reckon.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
A friend of ours, when we first set it up, said that we should go to somewhere like Channel 4 and get them to do a documentary of us setting up the company, but I'm not sure it would have been.
So do you have patrons that...
We do. We have we have different schemes. So Brian Blessed is our honorary patron.
Right.
And what an amazing man he is. And then we have annual patrons who can pay a certain amount to just support us for the year, and then friends scheme and annual pass holders, and all of those people ensure that turnover keeps going and we've got money in the bank at the beginning of each year.
Okay, great. So it doesn't sound too pessimistic, let's put it that way.
No, it's going to be hard, but it's okay.
Yeah. Okay. So now, tell me about the production you've got planned for the summer, The Eternal Summer.
Yeah, Thy Eternal Summer.
I don't want this summer to go on eternally, but nonetheless.
Well, we hoped. Yeah. Thy Eternal Summer was taken from Sonnet 18, shall I compare it to A Summer's Day? But Thy Eternal Summer felt a little bit apt for the situation we've all found ourselves in. But we also hoped that came with a hopeful message rather than just it feeling eternal. So what we've done is, obviously, as soon as the announcement was made that we could produce open air theatre again, we wanted to get out there and celebrate. And the best way of doing that, and the safest way of doing that, was to have as small audience groups as possible, which meant that perhaps doing a full-scale production wasn't necessarily possible. But we also wanted to just celebrate telling stories, celebrating the best of Shakespeare. So we're using 3 different venues in Guildford: Racks Close, Castle Cliff Gardens, and the Bandstand, which is where we started, so that feels very apt. And small groups of audiences, groups of 25. They'll all be sat when they're watching each part of the performance. We'll go to each location and see different scenes. And we've tried to, like I say, that it's a celebration of theatre. It's a celebration of communities coming together again. But we've also tried to be a bit thematic in what we've done. So the first section will all be about will all be scenes that are essentially all the world's a stage. So staging plays, and the beauty and wonder of our world and nature is the opening section. Then a bit of love and madness and friendship in the middle section. And then the final section is what I like to think of as a world without end. We keep turning the hellos that come within the goodbyes, and the new beginnings. So that's how we're approaching our story, but some really lovely fun comedy scenes, some beautiful poetry and love scenes.
Yeah, sounds great. Okay, well, good luck with that. And
thank you.
Before we go, you've already, well, it sounds from some of the other answers, you see your future with Guildford Shakespeare Company for some years to come. Do you think that's going to be your life's career now?
Well, it's hard to know, isn't it? But I think I'm certainly not done with Guildford Shakespeare Company yet. I love it. Obviously, it's my baby. And I think we've got a lot to explore and discover and develop over the years. So yeah, certainly. Yeah, and I love the community around us and how much support we get. So I have no reason not to keep going.
All right. Okay. So you're happy in Guildford as a town?
I am. Yeah, I love it.
Okay, that's great. Sarah, it's been fun interviewing you. Thank you very much for giving your time.
Thank you so much.
Good luck with everything at the company.
Thank you so much, Martin. Thanks for having me on.